Okay, Ron, thank you very much for joining us. Very quick introduction before I pass it over to yourself. Ron Hannon is the athletic director at De Anza College. I had the pleasure to meet Ron 7 years ago when he was at Gavilan, his last year or two at Gavilan. And then during my time here as coach in Evergreen, Ron has now moved up to De Anza College. And as I was saying to Ron before we recorded this, the reason I wanted to reach out to Ron was, one, my interactions with him and his professionalism and the way he carries himself in his programs have always been exemplary. But also, De Anza College is known for the size and the breadth of the sports programs they have. So I think by speaking to Ron, hopefully we really kind of get a good, thorough understanding of the athletic director position. And as I was saying also, Ron, this is a position I have interest in moving into in the future. So in addition to this being for all the students in the class, it's also selfishly for myself to learn a little bit. The introduction to kinesiology class, Ron, that I teach, is kind of, we separate into thirds. The first third of the class, we talk about the importance of being physically active, some of the challenges we have in society with kind of having an inactive lifestyle and all the fast foods available for us now. Then we talk about all the disciplines of motor skills and psychology and biomechanics and physiology. Then the last third, which is where we are now, we talk about careers, and we try to show the students all the different pathways they can go into through sports. If you like sports, but you're not an athlete, you can go into marketing, you can go into physical therapy, you can go into ticket sales, you can go into athletic training, or, and the athletic director position and Ron will explain more, is where you basically look after all the sports programs within an institution. You're basically in charge of all the different sports teams inside of a school. And at that point, Ron, I'm going to pass it over to you. If you could start just by introducing yourself and kind of give us an overview of kind of what you do at De Anza College and your role and your title and all that good stuff.
Yeah, no, Simon, thanks for letting me be a part of this. I can't believe I'm actually speaking to the enemy. So for the students in your class, the rivalry and everything like that. But no, all joking aside, I really appreciate being a part of this, and hopefully it helps your students a little bit as we go through this. So as Simon said, my name's Ron Hannon. I serve as the Director of Athletics and Student Athlete Success. A little bit unique, different twist to a typical athletic director position, in that I have a role and responsibility in overseeing our academic support and other support programs that directly benefit our student athletes. So although the primary role of my job is to oversee our 15 intercollegiate athletic sports that we currently offer, we've got a couple sports that are on the shelf right now just because of low enrollments, not having coaches and whatnot. But we're considered to be maybe not a large athletic department that we used to be. We used to have 19 sports at De Anza College, and there's only 22 sports offered in the state of California as an intercollegiate sport. But we're probably on the upper end of being a larger mid-size athletic program. We have a little more than 400 student athletes in our department that represent those 15 sports. We have a support staff. When you think about staffing, coaches, assistant coaches, athletic trainers, equipment managers, admin assistants, other support staff that work with our department directly, we have a department that's about 80 to 85 employees that I have direct oversight with. And so we're, from that regards, a large department. Let's see what else. But the day-to-day, you were talking about the oversight. I organize and coordinate everything from team travel, competition. I oversee our game schedules on an annual basis. So our coaches will come in and meet with me to get final approval on game schedules. We oversee budgets, hiring, firing, evaluations of employees, but everything, basically, we are two things. One, we're kind of our own business from regards of the size, the amount of money that we have to oversee, and money that we spend. but we're also kind of our own company from the standpoint of what we need to do to work with the business office, onboarding of employees through the HR. So we kind of are a small HR department within our own department because of our size. But anything and everything that touches a student athlete that's in our program, we are ultimately involved, if not overseen, in my role.
So basically, the size of the operation is you get to work in sport, but you're really leading a team. You're running a business.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah,
you get
absolutely.
you get given a budget also. I'm sure you get given a budget, say, hey, Ron, do all this and do it within this is your number.
Yep.
And you want more, go fundraise.
Yeah, yeah, we have boundaries, we have restrictions, we have guidelines that we have to work within. But basically we're ultimately responsible for oversight. So we're responsible for, the money we spend, how we spend it. We're responsible for meeting deadlines with budgets and annual reports that we have to submit. We have to account for every dollar that we spend in our department. Remember, this is taxpayers' money that we're using, so we are very, very sensitive to how we go about spending that money. But we ultimately are responsible for making sure that we manage it with due diligence and responsibility.
So you said, Ron, you said you had 15 different sports. It said at one point you had 18. So 15 sports, is that 30 teams, or is there some sports where you only have just one of the genders play and it's not? Is it 15 sports? How many teams is that?
Yeah, so it's 15 sports, which would be 15 teams. So
Okay.
we have a variety of different sports that we offer for our women. We have a variety of sports that we offer for men. The traditional sports that you would see at a college on a college campus would be sports like basketball and football and soccer. We have baseball. We offer volleyball. We also offer beach volleyball, which is a brand new facility that we've
Is at the back of the
we
soccer
could talk
field.
about a
I've
little
seen it,
bit
yeah.
when we get into facilities. But we have a beach volleyball facility that we just constructed here on campus. We have a large aquatic program, so we have swimming
Nice.
and diving. So we have a dive team, and they practice right outside my office every single
In
day.
the
And
quad, yeah, the quad.
yeah, in the quad here. And then what else do we have? We have track and field, cross country. So we have a vast. We have badminton. I can't forget my badminton team. They're the defending state
Oh,
champions.
there you go.
But we have a wide range of sport opportunities that we give to our student athletes.
And then a little bit kind of off topic, but we kind of just basically converse. We talk about Title IX in our class about what 1970 something, the
Yeah,
kind of basically the public schools having to get roughly equal funding to men and women, opportunities to
yeah.
both genders. How close do you have to kind of make sure that you said roughly 400 athletes? Is it 200 and 200? Do you have
Yeah.
to make your decision literally on, well, I can add this team because we want to keep it? How close do you have to kind of
Yeah.
stick to that, making sure everyone has the opportunity, basically?
Yeah. So, Title IX is such a huge component of our thought process, our philosophy, how we make our decisions, right? So, with 400 student athletes, we are about 2/3 of those are male athletes, and about a third of those are female athletes. When you have programs like football, we have a soccer program that has 30 to 35 guys in it. We have a baseball team in the fall that starts with 65, and then they dwindle down to about 35, 40 guys. When you just take head counts alone, obviously the men's sports can grow and those numbers can get out of control.
Yeah.
Football tends to skew things dramatically, but we also have a large men's track and field program. So one of the things that we have to do is although our numbers aren't equal, it would be great if we had 200 and 200,
Yeah,
right? That'd make life
it's
so much easier.
an objective, right? So it's only
It
to
really
work
is.
towards. Yeah.
And so when it comes to spending and budget allocation, it really is the first thing we look at is what's the need. When it comes to travel, competition, your scheduling, uniforms, equipment, those types of things. It's a lot more expensive to outfit a football team than it is a women's soccer team.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't necessarily, Title IX doesn't necessarily mean that if I spend, let's say, $4,000 per student athlete in football, I have to spend $4,000 on a women's soccer athlete.
Yeah.
What it says is I got to make sure that I'm accommodating and I'm taking care of all of the needs that women's soccer would be. If that only equates to $2,000 and I've provided them everything they need, and probably a little bit more, then I've met the kind of the tenet of Title IX. Yeah. So we really look at, although we're probably spending a lot more in total on our men's programs because there's more athletes, more programs. It really is about, hey, make sure that we're meeting need, that we're accommodating, that we're giving them everything we can on the female side, so they can't say, well, we didn't get this or we didn't get that, and the guys did. So we're very conscientious about that.
Yeah, good question. If I can change it, kind of go back a little bit, then could I ask you, are you from the Bay? I think I read you graduated from Gavilan. I think you're a junior college kid. You went to Gavilan, went to San Jose State. Can you talk about kind of your educational, because you don't get to be a director of athletics at De Anza College without having a good, strong academic background.
Yeah. So I am a Bay Area kid. I grew up in the Bay Area. I don't know anything else but the Bay Area. Spent a lot of my time, born in early years, raised in San Jose. Family moved down to Gilroy when I was heading into the 5th grade, and lived in Gilroy all the way up through finishing through college. So I'm a local kid. Consider myself to be, from the garlic capital of the world.
I live in Eagle Ridge.
Oh, so you know. Oh,
I live in Eagle Ridge. I've lived there for 4 years.
Well, Eagle Ridge used to be an old dirt hillside where we used to go ride bikes and do all that stuff. But now there's some nice houses out there and a beautiful golf course. But grew up in the area. I'm a product of the community college system. Like you said, Coach, I went to Gavilan College after going to Gilroy High School. Spent 2 years at Gavilan trying to figure out what in the world I wanted to do when I grew up. It's crazy. I'm almost 30 years into my career, and there's days where I wake up and I was like, well, what do you really want to do when you grow up? And so it's constantly, looking at those things. And so if you have students in your class right now that are like, I really don't know what I want to do, I really don't know what I want to study, it's okay. It's okay. It will come to you just like it comes to most of us. And in getting to where I am today, there was a light bulb that went off at a certain point. I'm a little slow, so it went off a little later for me than maybe what it does for most people. And so that should give your students some hope. You don't have to have it decided right now in your class, I'm going to graduate or I'm going to transfer and then graduate. You've got some time. The biggest thing is just pay attention to where your interest is, follow your heart, follow your passion. The one thing you want to do is you want to be passionate about what it is you're doing. And it doesn't matter what that is, if that's what brings you joy in the morning, if that's what gets you excited when you go to bed at night, if that's the thing that fires you up throughout the day and the week and you can look forward to it, then it doesn't matter what it is. Follow your passion because you'll be happy as you go through that process. So, went to Gavilan. I got my AA degree in liberal arts. Didn't know what I wanted to do when I was at Gavilan. Played basketball. I was a student athlete. So basketball was my sport. Couldn't stand getting hit with a baseball. So I checked out of baseball real early on.
Soccer wasn't a sport back then?
Soccer was not as heavily as popular as it is today. My dad was a high school coach, football coach. I played flag football in the 4th grade, and that was my football career. My mom says she was never going to let me play football. But fortunately, my interest went to basketball, and basketball actually created some opportunities for me that maybe wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for basketball. But after Gavilan, I was fortunate enough to go to San Jose State. I played basketball at San Jose State, and so got to play at the Division I level, which was a dream for me. I was a walk-on. So I did not earn a scholarship. I had to try out for the team all 3 years that I was there at San Jose State, and fortunately made the team each year. But I was not on scholarship. And so for me, that was another form of just understanding the situation I was in, but knowing that I had to work hard every single day. My fear was always, if I don't work hard today, my coach is going to kick me off the team because I'm not on scholarship. And so that was always a nugget in my head that at any point, if I didn't work hard in the classroom, if I didn't show up to practice and play hard every single day, at any point he could say, hey, sorry, Ron, this isn't the place for you. You need to move on. So for me, I took that drive and applied it to my career. And in my career, it was, I want to be the best that I can be. I want to work as hard as I can be. I want to do and give as much as I can to my profession, whatever it was that I was going to do at the time. And that was my mindset. Always afraid of maybe it won't be good enough. Maybe I'll have a boss, which, back in college, it was a coach, but maybe at some point I'd have a boss that says, nope, this isn't good enough. You need to move along. And so that was always my passion and my drive to be like, I'm going to work hard at this. At San Jose State, I earned my bachelor's degree in physical education. At the time, we went through San Jose State, and it was called Human Performance.
I just did read that. Yeah.
Yep. And so we physical education was evolving. It was more than just throwing out a ball and let them play. It's kind of the old mentality. It became much more science-based. It became much more business-based at the time when I was coming through college. And so, although I think early on I thought I was going to be a basketball coach and a high school biology teacher because I was passionate about biology, I had a teaching minor in biology. It still wasn't really what I thought I was going to do. And I really didn't know what I wanted to do, even as I was finishing up my bachelor's degree.
Okay.
I had a good friend of mine that ultimately served as a board of trustee member at Gavilan College. Mark was a baseball player at Sonoma State, blew out his shoulder, came back to San Jose State to finish up his education. And Mark and I grew up together in Gilroy. And so I asked Mark one day, I said, hey, we're a semester away from graduating. What do you want to do? Kind of same thing. What are you going to do when we grow up? And Mark at the time was a part-time adjunct faculty member at Gavilan. He was the head baseball coach. And so his thing was, well, I'm going to become the athletic director at Gavilan and the full-time baseball coach. And I'm like, okay, great. He was working for the city of Gilroy at the time, but that's what he was going to go do. And I said, all right, well, he says, but I'm coming back to grad school. And my first reaction was like, what? We're just finishing up and you want to come back and do more school?
Yeah.
And he says, well, if you want to work at the community college level in the state of California, you got to have a master's degree. And so I remember my parents saying, hey, as long as you're in school, we'll support you. And so here I am finishing up my last year of my senior year at San Jose State, not knowing what I wanted to do, really what I wanted to do. And I thought, well, Mark, if you're going to come back to school, maybe I'll come back to school. And maybe in the next 2 years, I'll figure out what it really is that I wanted to do. So that's what I did. Came back, became a grad student at San Jose State, and a year and a half later finished up my master's degree. So I have a master's in physical education with an emphasis in sports management. That's the area that I went into. But during my career at San Jose State, like I mentioned before, I was a walk-on, didn't have a scholarship. And in that last year of grad school, well, in that last year, it took me 6 years to get my bachelor's degree. Most of our students are getting it done in 4 to 5. I was taking my time. I was being sure of what it was I wanted to do. But in that time, because I was so close to graduation, the NCAA had these things called 6-year scholarships. And what it was a scholarship that the university could give to a student athlete because they were so close to graduation. It was give them the scholarship to finish their education because they wanted the graduation rate. And graduation rates back in the
get them over the line and get them out of there.
It was get them across the finish line. And so I received one of those scholarships. It allowed me to finish school, but it also allowed me to start grad school. But I had to work that scholarship off. A lot of times athletes earn a scholarship, they work it off by playing. You play the sport, you get a scholarship, and right? So I wasn't playing anymore. So, but I still wasn't in, I was still responsible for providing some type of service to the university. So I started working in the athletic department at San Jose State. And I was filing paperwork, I was stuffing envelopes, I was whatever anybody needed. I worked. And so I worked for the sports information office. I worked for the foundation department. I worked in the business office doing different things. I helped set up game management and whatever the university, whatever the department needed. I was earning my scholarship and finishing up school at the same time. So that was actually my first introduction to athletic administration. And although I thought I was going to be a basketball coach, I quickly learned you don't make a lot of money coaching, or it takes a very long time to get to the point where you're actually going to make money. And I thought, well, this isn't going to work. I got to do something different. And that's when the light bulb went off that, wait a minute, I love sports. I loved being a student athlete, being in that environment of an athletic department. And then hearing my buddy talk about, yeah, I'm going to be an athletic director and a coach at the community college level. Well, I wanted to stay at the Division I level. And so I said, why not become an athletic director at the 4-year level? So that was really where the initial interest kicked in. It was, okay, how do I do this? And then I really my mind really got focused in on, I got to do anything and everything inside this department to learn, observe, shadow, anything I could do. But there was a curveball in it. So after I finished school, I dated a gal. This is probably
how old are you at this point?
Well, I am probably about 25 years old. Just finished grad school, was dating a gal that I met at San Jose State who happened to be a professional golfer. And she was playing on the LPGA tour, which is the equivalent to the men's professional, the PGA tour. And so I said, well, at the time I was managing an Adidas store at the Gilroy outlets, like a lot of Gilroy kids did growing up. You worked in the outlet mall. And at that time, we were getting serious, and she wasn't going to quit her job because she was making money as a professional athlete. I wasn't making a whole lot of money. Just finished up school, but I decided to go out on tour. I didn't work for her, but I caddied for a dozen other players over the course of the year. When our relationship ended, which it did, I came back home and then immediately went back to San Jose State because that was a second home for me. That was, my coaches were there, staff that I'd worked with, and then pretty much begged for a job because I needed a job. And at that time, I applied for a job, didn't get it, got in an argument with the senior athletic director that didn't give me the job because I was desperate, which I don't recommend to your students. You get in a yelling match with your future boss.
Showing passion's good.
I was very passionate, a lot of desperation, but because I didn't get that job, it created another opportunity to come back and work at a very low level. But it gave me experience as far as game management, putting on events, working from that. Well, in that time, over the next 3.5, 4 years, I eventually was promoted into an assistant athletic director, was given a lot more responsibility. And then the dean and athletic director position opened up at Gavilan, which I had applied for, had gotten it. And then 21 years at Gavilan College as the dean and athletic director, eventually evolved into the position that I'm in now at De Anza College for the last 4 years.
So how old was you when you took the dean and athletic director position at Gavilan College? Were it late 20s?
I was 32 years old and knew nothing about community college from the standpoint of education, instruction. Really all I understood was the athletic side of it. And so when I got this job called a dean, I really didn't know what that part of the responsibility was. Here I was, an assistant athletic director at a Division I institution. I knew athletics, but I didn't know the instructional side of the house. So it probably took me a good 3, maybe 4 years when I first got to Gavilan to learn that side of the job, because I was not comfortable on the instructional side of the house. So I really had to learn how to manage and handle instruction, Title V, which is our, governing education code that the state of California has to live by. That was all foreign to me. Didn't know what any of that was, but I knew about athletics, and that's really what I was more excited about the job. So yeah, so 21 years at Gavilan. I'm 4 years into my career here at De Anza College in my athletic director only role, which is different. I don't have those dean responsibilities, the administrative responsibilities that I have there. I have different administrative responsibilities here, but solely on the athletic department side.
So if we move on from that, then I think that's a good lead into what does your typical day look like? So now you're at De Anza, you're the athletic director, and you oversee student athlete success.
Yeah.
What time do you go into work? What kind of, is it meetings? Is it Zoom meetings? Are you meeting? What does the average day look like for you?
Yeah.
2 days the
So
same?
normally it's not the same. Every single day is different. We're seasonal from the fact that a heavier part of my load as the athletic director at De Anza takes place in the fall season. So, we've got soccer season that's just about ready to come to an end, but we've had 2 soccer seasons, we've had a volleyball season, cross country seasons, football, which is a major lift at a school like this. But we're just finishing up the football season, and now basketball is just getting underway. And then in the spring, we have a whole another 6 or 7 sports that will run. But our heavy lifting really is in the fall. It's onboarding of all of our new student athletes that have made the decision to come to De Anza, which getting them acclimated to the institution is a lot of work. It's onboarding new coaches, any new coaches or staff that we're going to have. All of that's done summer into the fall. But a typical day, I'm in the office usually, depends on how many times I hit the snooze button, but usually between 7:30 and 8, I'm in the office. Most days, although I have a 12-mile commute to my house in San Jose, it's a rather short. As everybody in your class probably knows, the Bay Area traffic is brutal. And so that 12 miles takes me anywhere from, with no traffic, 16 minutes. My longest commute home from De Anza College to South San Jose has taken me 1 hour and 20 minutes. So it depends on when I leave. On most nights, I'm usually leaving the office somewhere between 6 and 7 p.m. If we have games at night, a volleyball game, a basketball game, I may not be leaving until 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night.
In which this year you came to Evergreen with the team. You came with the men's soccer team to Evergreen. Our game's at 6:30 at night. It's not done till 9.
Yeah.
And you travel,
and that's not uncommon. I don't travel as much as I used to, because now I have 2 high school students at home that are kids, and we have a lot going on with them in their world of sports. Both of them are athletes, and so we are doing that. But I don't travel as much. Prior to kids, I traveled every game with football. Went to quite a few basketball games. We had a very successful volleyball program at Gavilan while I was there. And so there was times where, the team would leave, but I would drive over to Aptos and meet them at Cabrillo College later that night or something along those lines. So now I have to be much more selective because I've got other responsibilities. Yeah. But long days, and it includes weekends. There's no such thing as holidays in the world of college athletics.
there's not.
So our basketball team, last year they didn't, but this year they very well could be practicing on Christmas Day, because it could be that we have a game on the 26th. So those aren't uncommon. I think as a student athlete growing up, really didn't have a Christmas. You get Christmas for a few hours with the family, but inevitably we were practicing on Christmas Day because we were in the season. So
We
Yeah.
practiced Thanksgiving morning.
Yep.
The year that we went to the state finals.
Yep.
Thanksgiving
Yep.
morning, we were on the field practicing.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
athletic team was there
I've
and
spent Thanksgivings in restaurants in Las Vegas because when I was at San Jose State, traveled with the volleyball team and they're playing in the conference tournament, and you don't think twice about it, you know. For me, I just, because I'm so passionate about sports and I love the business, you know,
well, it's almost not like a job. It's almost like
yeah,
it's not a real job.
yeah, it really isn't. I mean, you come to work every day and you get to talk sports. You talk about what's going on in the world, the 4-year level. You get to see your student athletes go on and be successful at higher levels. Um, I mean, it's, for me, it'd be crazy if to be in this business and not like sports. Boy, I'd be miserable every day, I think.
Two of the career presenters that come on these Q&As, the physical therapist and also the chiropractor, ex Evergreen student athletes.
Oh
They
yeah,
played 2017, 2018.
yeah.
One went to San Jose State, one went to Stanislaus,
Hmm.
one's now a chiropractor, and they both come back on, and
Yeah,
they're now talking back. They were in this kinesiology class, and
yeah,
when you see some of those successes, the successes are off the field, it
yeah.
also makes it a lot more rewarding. That you can't.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
invaluable.
And I think it's important for your students to understand you don't have to have been an athlete to be in our business, right? You don't have to be you don't have to necessarily have been an athlete or a coach to be an athletic director. You know, it's there's a part of the business that is business driven, so you have to have some understanding of how to manage a business. For me, the big part of what I do is built on relationships. People matter. My relationships with my staff, our students, the campus community, our local community, um, those relationships are critical. Um, and so for me, I like to invest in people because ultimately I think that's where our success is going to come from, is from when you surround students with high quality people that are trustworthy, that work hard, that have a strong, solid work ethic, that have a high level of integrity. I think it creates a situation where we're all working together, as challenging or as difficult as it may be from day to day. It's those partnerships and those relationships that allow us to overcome the obstacles and challenges that we face. Um, for a budget that we operate in our department, we're roughly around a little more than $3.5 million is what we operate with at De Anza College. It's a lot of money, but 80% of that budget is tied into salaries. It's tied into people. And so, as much as it would be nice to have the newest, latest piece of equipment breaks,
Yeah.
I would rather invest in the people. I'd rather put money into the people and get high quality coaches and support staff, because ultimately they're going to be the ones that train up our student athletes to be successful. And then that success translates into being able to ask and get other resources to support our program. So for me, the people is what really, really matter. As much as I like the uniforms and the gear, I like to look good when we're playing. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're practicing in a parking lot at Walmart or you're on some state of the art field. If you put in the time, the reward's going to come, and then you're able to grow and build off of that. So
I think I like the relationship part, and I've got a question in a minute on leadership. But for now, what are the main skills required of an athletic director or a leader of the athletic department? I would imagine communication and being organized. But what kind of skills do you think someone that would go into your job probably needs to have?
yeah, communication's key. You've got to be able to communicate with people. You've got to be able to deliver good news, but you also got to be able to deliver bad news. And part of the job is having hard conversations with people. Um, so communication is critical. It's a little different with our generation of students that we're working with now. Back when I came through school, we didn't have cell phones,
Yeah.
right? We didn't have social media. You know, you had to wait till somebody was home to call them at the house to get a hold of them, right? So way different. Information and communication for our students today is at a click of a thumb. And you can have a whole conversation with somebody with not ever talking to them in person, just by clicking your thumbs. And so I think, and although that is important and it's an important skill that I think our young people have, I think more than anything, it still goes back to you got to be able to sit down with somebody and have a conversation.
Yeah.
You got to be able to look at somebody in the eye and communicate with them. And you got to be able to read body language. You got to be able to read a room when you walk in and be like, okay, what's the vibe of the room right now? Is everybody excited? Is there some angst, and are people upset about something? Or hearing tones and understanding, what did you mean by that? And be able to translate and understand those things. So communication is critical. You've got to be, I'm an extrovert by nature, although there's a lot of part of my jobs that I would much rather just let me stay in my lane, let me work by myself, let me close the door, not have anybody bother me so I can focus in on that.
How many times has your cell phone gone off in the last 30 minutes, Ron?
Well, yeah, it went off about 4 times and then I turned it off.
Right.
So, and then who knows how many text messages are on there, right? But I think, again, because for me, relationships are kind of a foundational core piece. To have those relationships, you got to be able to work with people. You've got to be able to get along, even though you may not like the person. And there's people that, hey, we can agree to disagree. You're not my cup of tea, but I got to be able to work with you. And I've got to be able to put you in a position to be successful, even if it makes me feel uncomfortable, right? And so you got to get along with people. You got to be able to network. There's other departments on campus that I can't do my job unless I have access to them and I have the ability to work with them. Admissions and records, financial aid, counseling services, mental health services, a lot of our student support programs on campus. We can't be successful unless we have the relationships and partnerships. And that's just with the people here on campus. I got to be able to call you, Simon, and think about, hey, I got to think outside the box. Soccer isn't my strong suit. It is for you. And I respect the knowledge and the experience and the expertise that you have. And so if I can't get something that I need from one of my coaches, or I need a different opinion about something, I got to be able to call people and people that I trust and respect in that area to be like, hey, help me understand this because I don't know everything. And so you've got to be able to ask questions. You got to be able to communicate. You got to be able to reach out. So networking is critical. You've got to be organized. 400 athletes, 85 employees, $3+ million budget, all the things that we do, you got to be able to manage all of that. And it's sometimes I'm not very good in certain areas when it comes to organization, and I have to work really, really hard at it. And so I spend a lot more time in certain areas just because it's not my strong suit. One of the things that I learned early on, somebody gave me this piece of advice is, you don't have to know it all. You don't have to pretend to be the expert and everything like that. The biggest thing is you got to be able to ask for help and surround yourself with quality people. If I hire a really good coach or an athletic trainer or an academic advisor, and if I've done my due diligence, they're going to be really good at what they do. They're going to be the experts in those areas. I got to be able to trust them to do that. Those may not be my strong suits, but if I get high quality people in those areas, the best thing I can do is one, support them, encourage them, provide the boundaries and kind of what our expectations are, and then really get the heck out of the way. Let them do what they came here to do. Let them be the experts in the area that they are the experts in. And I don't need to control that stuff, right? We're better off if they do what they do really, really well and I stay out of the way.
I like the communication part. So in our kinesiology class, I repeatedly send the same message. You have to be able to look at someone, learn a name,
Yep.
smile at them and talk. We do group work. If not every class, every other class, they spend 10 minutes in groups and then someone's going to present back to the class. I'm like, hey, you're out of your comfort zone. But in 98% of the industries or the careers you're going to, You
Yeah.
have to be okay to talk to people. And
Yeah.
now the students, is, at least that I see, the majority, they've got their heads in the cell phones. They walk to class.
Yeah.
Some of them had their heads in the cell phones during the class. And then
Right.
they might like do like say hi to each other. And that's what I also physical education offers the environment of. We have the basketball, the volleyball, the soccer, the pickleball, the weight training, and it's an environment where we can really encourage the interpersonal interaction more than the regular class environment.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, it makes a difference what you know. If you're not able to, again, read a room, look at someone in the face and know their name and smile at them, just smile at them, engage in a conversation, then there'll be hurdles when it goes to the real world for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the sooner that you can learn those lessons now, you know, presenting in your class, as nerve-wracking as that might be for some of your students, it's not the worst thing that they're going to be involved in or engage in their lifetime, right? Those are little uncomfortable situations that are just going to help them become stronger and stronger as it goes on. You know, public speaking was not, oof, don't, you know, so it was really difficult to take that class in college. But now I look back and I'm like, ooh, okay, I get it now. I understand what that's for. Um, and then one of the other things that I think, if you talk about, you know, skill sets and things like that, I think it's really important that we are prepared. We come prepared to do our jobs. And so if I'm hosting a game with you tomorrow night, there's a lot of preparation that goes into planning that game. If I'm going into my president's office and asking for $100,000 increase to my travel budget, well, I can't just go in and ask, hey, I need $100,000. He's going to ask a lot of questions, and I better have the information ready to go. So there's a lot of preparation that goes into what we do. And that's one of the things that I struggle with from time to time. But it's one of the things that I'm very conscientious about, that I want to come in prepared. I want to know what it is I'm asking for. I want to know what it is that I'm talking about. And if I don't know everything about it, I want to be prepared with what are the questions I need to ask, so that I can get the information to help make decisions, or, you know, maybe help us move along in something. So I think preparation, you know, if you've got a bunch of student athletes in your class, I would say you probably just don't show up on game day and expect to be successful if you've done nothing during the week up until that point. If you think you can just roll the ball out and let them play, um, it's going to be a long day for them, or possibly a long season, if you don't put the time and effort into it. And that's kind of the same thing as we go into these jobs as an athletic director. I'm already thinking about, you know, we're a quarter school, so our quarter didn't start until late September. You guys are almost 2 months into school by the time our kids came to class for the first day. And so here we are in November. I'm already thinking about September, October, November, a year from now. We're already making plans and preparations for that. Although it's a year from now, it's going to be here before we know it. And so a lot of the things that we're doing right now, although we're trying to get through our day-to-days that we've got going on in this year, a lot of what we're doing is preparing for next year as well, because you've got to plan in advance. When you have a lot of moving parts. We have a $53 million construction project that we're scheduled to break ground in August of 2027. And here we are, November? We're almost complete, 2 years away from construction, just inside 2 years. I've got 3 meetings a week right now, just in the planning and in anticipation of swing, and where are we going to go in the meantime, and what are we going to do with our teams, and, you know, who's going to go where, you know, are we going to move things to Foothill? Are we going to find a local high school? Do we need to find another facility to, you know, so even though construction is not for 2 more years away, we are deep heavy into the planning stage right now. Because if we get to that day of construction, we've done no planning, we're in deep trouble. You know, and the project's not going to come out the way that we want the project to come out to. the beach facility that we spoke about. That was a little more than $7 million construction project. Which is, well, it's just sand and some nets and things like that. Well, yeah, but there's a little bit more than just sand and nets, right? But we probably had at least 18 months of planning before a tractor ever showed up on campus. Yeah. So there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, I'm sure knowing how community colleges work, there's a lot of I's to be dotted and T's to be crossed before
Exactly.
anything gets done.
Yeah.
Like one of the other questions I had, so it's a lot of work. You
Yeah.
can tell just by talking to the amount of work. I think one of the rewards would be, as a coach, I get to impact 30 athletes. As an instructor, 30 students. As an athletic director or head of a department, 400 athletes. You get to impact a lot of people. What are the other kind of biggest rewards? Like, what do you enjoy the most? Why would someone manage $3.5 million, 400 athletes, 85 support staff, and a $65 million project that's being planned 3 years? Like, why would you do all that work?
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun. So for me, I had such a great experience as a student athlete, all through high school, my 2 years at Gavel in college, my time at San Jose State. I really enjoyed it. I was around high quality people. I had coaches that were role models. They were mentors. I'm still in touch, and been away from San Jose State basketball for close to 30 years now. But last week, talked to my position coach on the phone. Coach Stu and I still close. We pick up the phone, and it was almost like, yesterday was my senior night. That just, those relationships, they were at my wedding. They get the photos of the kids at Christmas time and those types of things. But I was around those types of people and the opportunities that they created for me to be successful in. I kind of feel like I want my students to feel and experience the same thing. I wish every kid could go play at the Division I level, but the reality is a very, very small percentage of them will get that opportunity. But does your experience at a Division II, III, NAIA, or even is just if you decide not to play after your time at Evergreen or De Anza, and you're just going to go on to college, how does that experience, how can you kind of pull out the same excitement and enthusiasm in those experiences, even though you're not, maybe there's a professor, a counselor, somebody, I'm sure a lot of your student athletes years later played for you 15, 20 years ago. They still call you up and talk to you like they were just on the field yesterday.
I'm not that old. I'm not that old yet. I'll answer that question in 10 years. 10 years.
In 10 more years. But yeah, but for me, it's, I've been to weddings. I've met the children of, a volleyball player and a baseball player that played for us that got married. They met at school and they got married. But it's just to see that success, to see those students that, you're like, wow, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that you're going to make it in life, only to find out they've got their own business, they've got their family. In some cases, they're the ones writing checks back to your program to support your program because they've been successful in their careers and things like that, even at a younger age. But for me, it's seeing our student athletes walk across the stage at graduation. Your program there at Evergreen, Simon, you've had great success over the last several years, and you've had the chance to hoist up some trophies that I haven't been able to hoist up from our department standpoint. But I'm hoping, and that's part of the reward of getting to see all the hard work turn into our student athletes reaching their goals, and that's winning championships, graduating. I mean, to see the life friendships that they're developing now. I mean, I have been in it a long time, but to see 20 years later, those two are still best friends because of just walking in the door at the same time here. So for me, those are the kind of the icing on the cake, if you will.
I I had this one student who is now the physical therapist, and I had this exact same Q&A. He played for me 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went to San Jose State and he graduated.
Yeah.
And when he introduced himself, he said, coach, I said, thank you for going. He goes, it's my pleasure, coach. I wouldn't be where I was if it wasn't for you, because I wasn't going to go to school if it wasn't for the fact you recruited me and you kept on calling. And he was making out, he was so appreciative. And the funny thing is that back then, he never showed any emotion.
Right.
It was always me reaching down. It was like getting blood out of a stone, and like he's had a poker face. And I was like, trying to help him. And he didn't show very little emotion back during his time here. But now he's 25 and he's so thankful for what myself and the coaching staff and the program, and we kind of gave him a platform to mature, would be the best way to put it. We kind of kept our arms around him, 18 to 20. And again, the light bulb went off for him that he wanted to keep on working in sports. And he was reasonably smart, but he was so thankful. What was funny is, though, he was making out that he was so appreciative of our efforts. And I said, you never showed any of those things back then. Back then, you had no emotion. He was a great kid, but no emotion.
Yeah.
And he was making out that he was thankful, but we never always saw it.
Right.
But now when he comes back 7 years later and tells us, it did bring probably a bigger smile than any trophy or league that we can win, is when you get the chiropractor, Dr. Brinfill, who also talked to us. He's a James Lick student. He came to Evergreen.
Wow.
And now I'm like, hey, he's like, hey, coach. I'm like, hey, doc, can you come into the class? I'm like, hey, this is Dr. Brinfill. And he's still, so I have some of those already, even after 7-8 years.
Yeah, no,
so
it is a heavy rewarded based profession that we're in. We don't necessarily see it in the moment, like you're saying. We'll see it years down the road, but it is absolutely a fulfilling profession to be in. If you like people, if you enjoy competition, I want to win. I mean, every time we step out on a field, or we're in the gym, we're in the pool, even though I haven't competed in a very, very long time, I want to win. And so there's also a competitive drive to being in this environment. That's what I'm fortunate that I get to feed my competitiveness vicariously through our teams every day. And with our coaches, and part of me is, okay, I'm not necessarily coaching an athlete right now on the field, but I've got coaches that I can coach, right? And my challenge would be to you, Simon, if you were my soccer, how do I make you better? How can I help you? How can I support you? How can I challenge you in the areas that maybe you're not as strong in? And so that's one of the neat things that I've got to do with coaches. I think years ago, people are like, well, you were a basketball player, so you must be a basketball AD. And there's no such thing. I never have been. I am, whatever the sport is, whatever we offer, I'm that AD. So I've learned a lot about cross country that I never knew about. Even soccer. I mean, a ton of soccer. You see me, I sit out next to you guys in games, and I'm just absorbing. I observe a lot. I watch a lot. And that's just the people management side of what I do. But I'm stealing nuggets from you. I'm going back to my coach. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Or, hey, here's something I observed. Don't do that, because I saw Simon fail at that. So let's don't do that here. But no, it's just a neat way to observe and learn. But it feeds my competitiveness, because I wish I could still strap them on, lace them up, put whatever on, and go out and compete tomorrow. I feel like I still could, but.
And you affect so many more people.
Oh yeah.
Again, a coach can affect his pool, and AD can affect an entire program. I think the last question I did have is, what advice would you give then to anyone that's listening to this and she's like, I've got that's of interest. Like, how would you, can you shadow an AD? Can you, like you said, is there hourly paid work in colleges where you can, go and do tasks that might even help you kind of get some hands-on? What would you say to an aspiring person who's like, I think an AD would be something I might enjoy? What would you recommend?
Well, I mean, with your students being at a community college, and you guys are a rather smaller
Yes.
department, and so that's tough, you know, with just having a couple of sports. Um,
But
but one of the things,
this YouTube video is going to have millions of views. So people will watch it. Hey,
oh,
this is going to go.
yeah, no. Are we trending already yet? You haven't even posted it, right? No. Um, no, I think one of the things is, you know, at your institution, and some of your students, they just graduated from high school,
Yeah.
and they were in a high school program that was way big, you know, you think about high school when you have freshman JV and varsity teams, and you have all the sports. I mean, some of these high school departments, if you look at them, they're 32 teams when you count freshman, JV, and varsity for each one of the sports. And high schools have 900, 1,000, 1,500 athletes. They're really, really big athletic departments. And so, because of the connections that those students have, maybe back at their previous high school, one way would be go back and, hey, how can I help out?
Yeah.
You don't have to be a coach. Hey, can I help out on game day? When I put on a football game, I've got people that I pay, but I have people that run the press box. I have scoreboard operators and clock operators and scorekeepers, and for me, those are all paid positions. I don't like to put students necessarily in there, especially like red shirts or something like that. Although they understand the game, they can tend to be cheerleaders at time more than paying attention and starting and stopping a clock when you need them to. But there's opportunities, and I would say early on, see what you can do at Evergreen. See how maybe they can help you out, or even with Dr. Stewart. Hey, are there things that I can help you with on game day to set up? And or go back to your high school and talk to your coaches at your high schools that you came from, or the athletic directors at those schools. And hey, can I help out run a scoreboard? All of it's experience.
Yeah.
Right when I started at San Jose State, after yelling at what ended up being my future boss because she didn't give me the job, I did game management, and I set up the Spartan Stadium and set up the boxes with food and for the athletic director and the president. But I was putting goalpost pads on the football goalposts. That eventually turned into I was responsible for managing the game management aspect of the softball program at San Jose State. So on game days, I made sure the sound system was out there, the scoreboard was turned on and plugged in, that whoever was working the games had what they had, but I was around that team all the time. And then it became basketball. I was meeting the officials and walking officials to and from the court, and all kinds of different things. But I would have done that for free because it was
Yeah.
fun, and I wanted to be around sports at that level. But just reach out. And I think those high schools is a great place because the high schools are always in need of help and support, right? And you can learn a lot in those environments. Being on the backside of it, not a student athlete, but being on the backside, the planning, the preparation, execution, you got to break things down. You just don't walk away from a soccer field. There's things that have to be put away and organized and ready to go for the next event. So,
Trust me, we know that. We
yeah,
know that.
but and then you can volunteer. Parks and recs. There's opportunities there that you can get involved with. But get involved. Ask if you can help. There's probably busier times of the years in our departments than others. So sometimes it's like, yeah, we can't get enough people to help.
Yeah.
Other times it'd be like, no, we're covered and we don't have a whole lot going on. But
and the reality is if students at Evergreen who will predominantly be watching the video, they're gonna be transferring out anyway at some point to finish their 4-year degree.
Yeah.
So the reality is, you're right, our athletics programs on the smaller side, but this is a stepping stone onto a 4-year program.
Yeah.
So this is of interest to them as they move on. They'll have those opportunities, hopefully, if not at an old institution, maybe at San Jose State, in East Bay, at Stanislaus, wherever they're going to. Seek out those opportunities to network, meet people, and kind of get some experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
So is there any, Ron, before I kind of let you go, is there anything else that you'd like, anything that you don't think we've kind of covered or anything else you'd like to add? We really appreciate your time.
Yeah, no, it's a business that comes with a lot. It's a labor of love. It really is. It's a fun job to do every day. It's a lot of work. It's not an easy job, right? And so there's a lot of time. I've got a lot of time away from my family, which is sometimes hard to do. Uh, Unfortunately, I've got a wife that understands college athletics and has watched me do it for a long, long time. Um, but it is an absolute fun place to be. Great job. But if you're not willing to work hard, this is not the business to be in. You've got to be able to roll up your sleeves. But again, if you surround yourself and you're around high quality people, I don't know if there's a better job. I don't know what I would be doing if I wasn't doing this. I've thought about that a few times. I'm like, holy smokes, what in the world would I be halfway decent at? And I can't come up with anything. So I found my niche.
There you go.
But it's just go after your dreams. If this is where you want to be, go after your dreams. It'll come. You may have to sacrifice, you may have to put in a lot of work.
And it's
But
competitive to get there as
oh,
well.
absolutely.
It's a
It
job
really,
that a lot of
really
people
is.
want, the job that a lot of people would like to have because of the fact that you do get to affect so many people positively.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a blast. The people side of this is one of the best things that comes with the job, is just getting to work with tremendous people. I mean, the friendships that I have, the colleagues that I have that aren't even at my school, at Evergreen and you name the community colleges, but even the universities. It's great. And it's a great opportunity to meet people and I mean, as much as I want to beat you, Simon, being in the Coast Conference, I want to see you guys be successful. And I want to see you guys win if we're not. So
Well, again, the part of that is competition is technically striving for success, but knowing that as you go for success, everyone rises.
yeah,
As we push each other, the reality is I've used the analogy, a rising tide lifts all boats.
yeah,
Whereas we're
yeah,
striving to beat each other, the reality is I hope that the students will win because all of our programs are trying to get that extra little bit better, whether it's
yeah.
on the field or supporting the athletes or having the
Hmm.
best coaches or the best facilities. As we're kind of competing to be the students are benefiting from that competition as well,
Hmm.
which is
Yeah,
ultimately the
yeah,
goal. Okay, well, we've been on for just over an hour, and I'm very appreciative of you taking the time to talk to us.
yeah.
And yeah, we thank you very much, Ron, for jumping on the call.
Yeah, anytime. And I think if your students sit through this hour episode, you need to be giving them extra credit. So,
Maybe,
all
maybe I will. All right, thank you, Ron.
right, bud. Good to see you, man.
You too. Bye.
Hey, good luck the rest of the way too, bud.